If you're somewhere in the peri or post-menopause journey and you've been told your blood work looks fine, but you're still exhausted, the weight won't budge, and your cravings feel completely out of control, I might want you to hear this. Your blood sugar might be telling a very different story than your labs are. And today I'm going to show you a tool that lets you actually see what's happening inside your body in real time. Stay with me because this one genuinely changed how I think about metabolic health. And so let's start with what's actually going on hormonally, because this is a piece most women never get explained to them. Estrogen isn't just a reproductive hormone. It plays a direct role in how well your cells respond to insulin. So as estrogen starts to decline in perimenopause, something else starts to shift too, your insulin sensitivity. Your cells start to resist insulin signal, which means your body has to produce more of it to do the same job. And here's what makes this so frustrating. This can be happening for years before it shows up on a standard lab panel. Your fasting glucose looks normal, your A1C looks normal, and your doctor says you're fine. But underneath that, your blood sugar could be spiking and crashing in many ways that are driving your cravings, and also your fatigue and your brain fog, and that stubborn weight, especially around your midsection. Standard lab work gives your doctor a snapshot. What we really need is the full movie, and that's exactly what I want to talk to you about today. So first of all, I want to talk to you about the tool called a CGM, or a continuous glucose monitor, which looks like this. And if you've ever heard of it, you are not alone. Up until recently, these were almost exclusively used by people with diabetes, and you needed a prescription to get one. But here's what it is. It's a small sensor about the size of a large coin that sits on the back of your arm, and it's very painless to put in. In fact, it's actually more painful to do a finger stick than it is to put this thing on. I didn't even feel it when I put it on. It reads your blood sugar in real time, every few minutes around the clock, and it sends that data straight to an app on your phone, which is very convenient. So instead of one fasting number once or twice a year, you are seeing your glucose respond to every meal, every workout, every stressful meeting, and every night of poor sleep in real time on your phone, which is very convenient. And I don't know if you've ever done finger sticks, but after a while, your fingers get a little sore from doing finger sticks. And so this one definitely doesn't, you don't feel that. Now, here's the part that I think that is really significant and a little bit of a game changer as well. There are two CGMs. One's called Stelo by Dexcom and Lingo by Abbott, which is the one I'm wearing today. And these are now available over the counter. You do not have to have a prescription to get one. And there's no doctor's visit required. You can order them online or pick them up at a pharmacy. I went ahead and ordered mine online. It didn't take long to get here. And it's a 2-week sensor that runs roughly $50 to $90, depending on if you get one of their special deals. And for the first time, you don't need a diagnosis to access your own metabolic data. This is huge. We can actually be looking at our own health parameters and see in real time the choices that we make and how they impact our blood sugar. So let me walk you through some of the things a CGM actually shows you, because some of these might surprise you. First, it's going to show you post-meal spikes. So spikes in your blood sugar. That breakfast that you've been eating because you think it's healthy, it might be sending your blood sugar to 160 or higher within an hour. And things like oatmeal, fruit smoothies, whole grain toast, these are foods that are virtuous, but they can cause significant glucose spikes in women with insulin resistance. Without a CGM, you'd never know. And this is exactly why I recommend pairing your CGM with a food tracking app. I like MyNet Diary, and there's also Cronometer, and there's several others out there on the market. And when you log in and put in what you ate and watch what your glucose does in response, you stop wondering what caused that spike. And now you know. The combination of those two data streams is where the real insights live. More on that in a few minutes. Second, there's something called the dawn phenomenon. And this is something that a lot of women are shocked to see their glucose rising early in the morning hours before they've even had anything to eat. And they're thinking, what in the world is going on here? Why is my blood sugar so high? And this is what your body's natural cortisol release waking you up, and it could push your glucose higher. It's very common, especially in perimenopause, and it's something most doctors never mention. The third is stress. Stress will spike blood sugars. I know the first time I wore a glucose sensor, I had a really stressful morning, and I noticed, wow, my blood sugar really spiked, and I was surprised how much it would impact it, but it does, certainly. And, cortisol raises blood sugar. So if you have a tense phone call, a hard conversation, a stressful afternoon, you can literally watch it show up on your graph. And for a lot of women, seeing this is the first time they truly understand the mind-body connection in a concrete, visual way. Now, the fourth thing that it can impact is sleep. Poor sleep and high glucose have a bidirectional relationship. Each one makes the other worse. Your CGM can show you higher overnight readings on nights when you sleep badly, and you'll start to see the pattern clearly. Sleep is so critical for our health. It's our time to heal and repair, and when we don't get that good sleep, it is a stress on our body. The fifth thing that you see is the effects of movement. A 10 to 15 minute walk after a meal can dramatically flatten a glucose spike. And when you see that on your graph, it stops feeling like a generic advice and starts feeling like something that actually works for your body. This isn't just data, it's a feedback loop that puts you in the driver's seat of your own health. Now, if you're on a GLP-1 medication like semaglutide or tirzepatide, this is where things get really interesting. GLP-1s work by slowing how quickly food leaves your stomach, helping your body release insulin at the right time and reducing appetite. They're genuinely effective for a lot of women in this season of life, especially when insulin resistance is part of the picture. But here's the thing, they work differently in everyone. And without a CGM, you're largely guessing at how well they're actually working for you. A CGM paired with a GLP-1 lets you see whether your medication is actually reducing your post-meal spikes or whether certain foods are still pushing through. It can show you whether the timing of your injection matters more for your glucose response. It can help you identify why you've hit a plateau, because even on a GLP-1, food choices still matter, and the data will show you exactly where. Think of it this way, your GLP-1 is doing its job. A CGM shows you whether your habits are doing theirs. Together, they give you a level of personalized insight that used to be available only to people managing diabetes. That's changing, and you get to benefit from it. Now, here's something that will make your CGM data 10 times more useful, and it's simpler than you might think. Pair this with a food tracking app. As I mentioned, MyNet Diary or Cronometer can be really good ones. And I know some of you may be groaning, thinking, oh, I hate doing food tracking. And I get it. I don't enjoy it as well. But it can give you really good insight. And it's not about obsessing over calories. Certainly that's not something I recommend people do. It's really more of measuring your data. On both sides of the equation, you're getting to see the foods that you're choosing and how they are impacting your body. And again, get curious. This is not a place to be judging yourself. It's just to really show you some feedback. It's like, okay, this is how my body responds to this. And because when you can see what you ate and what your glucose did afterward, you stop guessing and start knowing. And we're all different. Truly, every person in how they respond to food, it's different. And this is where, with the CGM, you really get that data. And like I mentioned, those two apps that I suggest, and there are other ones out there, but I like MyNet Diary. This one's curated by dietitians, and they do have like a Mediterranean diet approach you can follow, or a lower carbohydrate one, even one for people on GLP-1s. And there's also Cronometer. I know a lot of people who really like that particular app. And both are excellent. And here's why I like them specifically for this purpose. They don't just track calories, they break down your macronutrients with carbohydrates, protein, fat, and fiber. You can actually select fiber as one of your things to track. And this is really especially important if you're on a GLP-1. And for women with insulin resistance, that breakdown is everything. Because here's what that data will start to show you. It's rarely just what you eat, it's the composition of the meal. The same amount of carbohydrates will affect your glucose very different depending on how much protein and how much fat and fiber that you have alongside them. In fact, I always tell people fiber is your friend. It definitely can help slow down the rise of blood sugar. And, how your body responds to, say, 100 calories of crackers and 100 calories of salmon do not look the same on your CGM graph. You will notice the differences there. And once you see that, you can never unsee it. It's really valuable information. And portions do matter as well. This is an area where most of us are genuinely surprised. A lot of times people think they're really eating healthy, but it's just the quantity of food that they're doing at one time that can have an impact. If you're getting several servings of a carbohydrate-containing food, it is going to impact your blood sugar differently than if you're doing a standard portion. So something to really pay attention to. And most of us are lousy judges when it comes to looking at with our eyes. This is a time where you may want to actually measure and just to see how much of that pasta or of that cereal am I eating, or how much fruit. Some of those carbohydrate-containing foods, you really want to be particularly paying attention to the serving size, because servings do matter. It really does matter how much we do of something. And even things like our nut butters or oils, these are also things that I would look at quantity. It's not that we have to become obsessive with it. We don't necessarily want to do that. But we do want to have a more accurate picture so that we can start to see what patterns our body is responding to. And again, this is not to be a punishment, but it's more information. You're getting feedback, real-time feedback. So the combination I want you to think about is this. Your CGM shows your body's response. Your food tracking app shows you what triggered it. And together they give you a complete picture that is genuinely more useful than anything a standard lab panel can offer. You become your own best health detective. And for women in perimenopause who have been told everything looks normal while feeling anything but, that kind of concrete personal data is powerful. I want to take a moment to talk about something that I hear from women constantly, and that is feeling dismissed. Feeling like your symptoms don't match your labs. Feeling like you leave your doctor's appointment with more questions than answers. Here's the reality. Your doctor is seeing you for 15 minutes, maybe twice a year. They are looking at population level averages and diagnostic thresholds, which is important. They are not seeing your Tuesday evening stress spike or the way your glucose climbs every night around 3 a.m. or how your body responds differently to the same meal depending on how well you slept. That data exists. It's just until now, no one was collecting it. I mean, I know if you were trying to do finger sticks, that many finger sticks during the day, your fingers would be very sore and you'd be using tons and tons of strips. And so it's just not very practical. But this one allows you to be able to check every few minutes. And so you're really getting to see real time what it's doing to you. And so when you do walk into your next doctor's appointment with these 2 weeks of real glucose data alongside a detailed food log, you are having a completely different conversation with your provider. You're not just describing symptoms, you're showing evidence. You don't need to wait for a diagnosis to start paying attention to your metabolic health. The information is available to you right now. Now, I know that seeing the data is one thing. Knowing what to do with it is another entirely. And that's something I want to make really easy for you. If you're watching your glucose spike and crash and wondering why cravings feel completely uncontrollable, I want you to grab my Cravings Decoder Toolkit. because this toolkit helps you understand exactly what's driving them and what to do about it. And it pairs perfectly with everything we've talked about today. The link is in the description below. And I'll be honest with you, I'm also working on something bigger. I'm very excited about this. It's a resource specifically designed for women who are on a GLP-1 to help you actually interpret what you're seeing, understanding your patterns, and use the data to get real results. I'm not quite ready to share all the details yet, but it is coming soon. Make sure you're subscribed and have the bell notification on so that you're the first to know when it drops. In the meantime, are you using a CGM? Are you on a GLP-1? Have you tried tracking your food alongside your glucose data? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and your questions generally shape what I create next. I'll see you in the next video.